This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on September 13th, 2013. Our time is 8:44 in the morning. Radio show runs on your favorite radio stations, also online, archived on Harold's websites, HESradio.com and RareColoredDiamonds.com. Should remind you as well, we have a podcast. The podcast is through iTunes. Type in World Financial Report on Radio, and you can take us anywhere on your portable device. Harold does daily market commentary on his websites. You can find it podcasted there as well. As we start today's show, a reminder. Worldwide Precious Metals, they invite you to an exclusive free seminar about the shocking truth of the Canadian banking system. This is an exclusive seminar where they have an accountant who has taken a look at the Canadian banking system and countries around the world, and it is shocking to say the least. So if you live in Toronto, it's Tuesday, October 22nd, 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. To register for this free financial seminar, call 1-866-623-2002. You can sign up as well online at wwpmc.com. They're going to be in Toronto October 21st through the 23rd, offering free private information sessions on investing in gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Connect with them. Sign up for the free seminar on the Canadian banking system, 1-866-623-2002, or online, wwpmc.com. As we tape today's show, this week it was the 12-year anniversary of 9/11, and we remember that so well. The 5-year anniversary of the financial crisis this weekend. We'll talk about it during the show. Shocking news about bank deposits around the world. Also, people getting concerned about the Fed tapering, the amount that they are actually printing and spending on their own bonds. They think that it may go from $85 billion to $75 billion with the next meeting. We will have to wait and see. Also, this morning on Friday, Larry Summers' name was floated as the new Fed chief. I know Janet Yellen is up for the job as well. People seem to favor Janet Yellen over Larry Summers. People not happy with the Summers announcement, if it is actually accurate. Also, Syria continues to hang in the balance. U.S. President Barack Obama spoke in the week, and pretty much it's gridlock. It's really hard to see where this thing goes because it's very muddled at this point. A lot of volatility in the markets in general as a result of everything happening this week. Great news on diamonds, and we'll talk about it a little later in the show, but some outstanding news for those that own physical diamonds. And we'll talk about that in the second half of the show. But Harold, lots of volatility as we saw throughout the entire week in all markets.
You better believe it, Randy. Again, the markets are very confusing. Unfortunately, this week was not a good week for metals. You know, the thing is that the gold market has moved up substantially, and I find it hard to believe that it was just based on Syria because, again, Syria really doesn't affect the markets in the way that, that they said that it did, basically. So this week, especially on Thursday, gold dropped $42 in one day. $42 in one day, and there was no reason for it whatsoever. Normally, there's a direct correlation between the U.S. dollar and the gold market, but the U.S. dollar has been fairly stable. In fact, it's been dropping a bit lately, and that should push up the price of gold, not drop it by $42. As we're taping the show this morning, gold's down another $5. It's at $13.1740. Silver's up 13 cents at $21.97. The markets are thin this week. It's a high Jewish holiday, so a lot of the traders are not around. A lot of the traders in New York are Jewish, and basically the markets are a little bit thinly traded. But again, not a reason for gold to have dropped $42 in one day. Now, right now, gold is still trading in a range. So basically, even though it did drop this week, it hasn't broken the range type of thing. There's still very heavy support in the gold market at $12.75 when we're trading at $13.17. The silver market, again, is up 13 cents, is at $21.97. Basically, there's very heavy support at the $20 level and at the $19 level. And again, I think the gold and silver will continue to hold in there. There are so many reasons for the metals to go up, and if they are still playing with the markets, which it certainly appears that the banks are, the fact is that these markets will always straighten out. The problem is it's been a 2-year cycle at this point that we've seen the markets come off their highs of 2011, and again, if the exchanges where gold and silver have been traded, if they didn't raise the margin requirements to such a ridiculous level that they made it so difficult to trade gold and silver, we would more than likely be trading right now somewhere in the 2,500 range in gold and probably somewhere in the range of about $60 to $70 in silver. So I still believe those numbers are accurate. I do believe that the gold market and the silver market will come back and make new highs, possibly going into next year. Now, October is a very difficult month. October is a month where most stock traders fear because, again, there's tremendous fear in October of a market falling substantially. But going into next year, there's really nothing bullish happening in the world economy at all. And we are looking at the fact that next year, 2014, could be a devastating year for the financial markets, mostly the paper markets, the banks, the stock markets, and all those type of investments. So, again, don't get disillusioned with what you're seeing in the gold and silver market. These markets always straighten themselves out. The trend is always your friend. But again, in a time of panic and frustration, that's why the markets are trading in the way that they are right now. The governments around the world are petrified. They don't know what to do. Everything that they've tried with quantitative easing and printing money and everything that they've done in the United States and in Europe is not working. In 2008, when the market started to fall, and in the newsletter this week is, again, the 5th anniversary of the crash when the Dow Jones dropped from 14,000 down to 6,500. That's when the Lehman situation happened. That's when they had to bail out AIG and the banks. You want to read the newsletter this week. You want to take a look at and remind yourself of what happened 5 years ago, how devastating it was, and if the Federal Reserve and the government didn't step in and do what they did, which was quantitative easing, put trillions of dollars back into the market. If you remember back then, the markets were just absolutely falling out of bed. The Lehman situation was devastating, and the banks were going under. And basically, if it wasn't that the FDIC, which is the insurance company that, basically insures your bank account, at that point, the insurance on a U.S. bank account was $100,000. People were petrified. They were lining up at the bank, taking their money out of their bank accounts. And if the FDIC didn't raise the insurance up to $250,000 an account in the bank, we would have seen about a $4.5 to $5 trillion run. Everybody would have taken their money out of the banks. You see, the things that is that in the United States, and I would imagine also in Canada would be the same, that if a bank is in trouble, and it's going to go under, we're going to be standing there, people are going to be rioting, people are going to be screaming, they want their money. But what happened in Cyprus was so concerning because nobody did anything. They just accepted the fact that they lost their money, they lost almost 50% of their deposit, and you didn't see anything like that. I can assure you, if that happens here in North America, there will be hell to pay and people will not stand for it. However, the model that happened in Cyprus is the exact same bank model that every bank uses. And what happened in Cyprus is definitely possible to happen here. So we've got to get smart about this because, again, next year could be one of the most devastating years in the financial markets. There is nothing bullish happening. If you look at the economy in the United States with all of the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government put back into the marketplace, you would have thought that we would have been sitting at 25,000 at the Dow. The only reason that the Dow has gotten above the 15,000 level is because they're putting $85 billion a month back into the marketplace. And as soon as they stop doing that, you're going to see that the stock markets are going to plummet. They can't do this forever. And the fact is that what they've done, unfortunately, has not worked. We've all wanted it to work. We all felt that, it was the best chance because the debt was so substantial and the economy was in a recession. And basically, with everything that's been done, with all of the trillions of dollars that's been put back into the market, if this is the best that could possibly happen, then we've got some serious problems going forward, because the unemployment picture, in my opinion, is getting worse. And in many other opinions, you can't believe the 7.2% unemployment that the government is feeding us. It's closer to 13 to 15%. Don't forget, 25% is depressionary numbers. In Europe, they've got 65% unemployment amongst college kids and 30% unemployment in certain areas amongst adults. In the United States, they've got 35% unemployment amongst college kids. They can't pay back their loans. They're not getting jobs. You could literally see a lost generation, which again would devastate the economy and take away people's dreams type of thing. So again, next year could be one of the most difficult years we've seen, and it's a very smart time now to get ready for that, to make certain that you don't have anything in risky markets, because the stock markets, as you saw, and as you're going to see in the newsletter again this week, which will remind you of what happened back in 2008. The crazy thing is, why the markets fell so substantially back then was because of greed and stupidity. The amount of greed that was in the market was just unbelievable. And basically, the stupidity of what the governments were doing in the markets and what they did at that particular point. So what we're looking at is we could definitely see a repeat, because the banks were leveraged at that point 30 to 40 to 1. So were the brokerage firms. They're back at the exact same thing. The banks are heavily leveraged. The brokerage firms are heavily leveraged. Then it was the real estate markets that plummeted, and the mortgage markets. And look what's happening now. You're seeing in some parts of the country that real estate is going up by 20% in a month. Those are the same scenarios that got us into trouble back in 2007 and 2008. You know, if you don't learn from history, history always repeats itself, and we're doing that exact same mistake that happened just 5 years ago. So when you get the newsletter this week, it's a phenomenal newsletter. It's packed with information, and information that you need to make an intelligent business decision as to what you're going to do moving forward. And again, look at the reports and the newspaper articles and headlines of what happened back in 2008 and compare it to what's happening right now, and I think you'll believe and see what we're seeing is that it really hasn't changed at all, and people have gone back into the same scenario. Randy, there's no doubt in my mind that once gold gets back on track and they allow it to trade on its own merit, and the same with silver, we're going to be looking at $3,500 gold and over $100 silver, and in my opinion, that is going to happen, and it's going to happen fairly quickly. Again, you cannot keep these markets down by suppressing the markets. It only works for a very short period of time.
A great quote from our newsletter from Ron Rosen this week. It's going to be a tough ride. All bull markets are, because they want to kick people off or out of the bull market. But for investors that can hang on and stomach the tough moments like we've been seeing very recently, they will be rewarded way beyond anything they can imagine now. And Egon von Greyers, he says, there's no change in my forecast for gold and silver. I see a very strong 12 months coming. My short-term targets are the same, $2,500 for gold, $70 for silver. Of course, they will be much higher thereafter. Get our free weekly newsletter from Worldwide Precious Metals. We send it out via email free of charge every week. Connect with them, wwpmc.com. Call them, 1-866-623-2002. Start your own precious metals investment account today. All gold and silver, either allocated, wholesale, or premium. Worldwide is there to help you maximize profit, minimize the risk. You will have instant liquidity in and out of the market, just a phone call away, and 24/7 online access. The metal can be stored on your behalf, insured to the full value of your investment. Ask about domestic or foreign storage and premium storage in specific coin and bar form. Stored metal is outside the banking system. Keep that in mind. The metal can also be delivered to your door. Worldwide Precious Metals has worldwide access to the physical precious metals you want today. If you're in Toronto, as we mentioned off the top of the show, they're putting on a free seminar about the shocking truth of the Canadian banking system. A CGA has taken a look at the numbers, and from what I hear, It is a shocking seminar you do not want to miss. Tuesday, October 22nd, 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. Register by calling 1-866-623-2002. You can sign up as well, www.pmc.com. They're going to be in Toronto October 21st through the 23rd, and they will have free private information sessions. You can sign up for those as well. Connect with Worldwide Precious Metals, 1-866-623-2002, www.pmc.com. One of the big stories this week, and this goes back to talking about bank deposits. We saw in Cyprus, there were bank depositors lost 47.5% of their money. And people will say, well, they didn't really. They got bank shares. Yeah, sure, in a worthless bank. $1 trillion in U.S. bank deposits held abroad will no longer be insured. Federal regulators say deposits in foreign branches of U.S. banks will not be covered by the Government Insurance Fund of the United States. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, on a 5-0 vote, rejected the request from the banking industry seeking to extend the insurance of up to $250,000 on U.S. bank deposits overseas. The FDIC estimates those deposits are worth about $1 trillion. If a bank fails that has foreign deposits, the account holders would become creditors of the bank and would have to apply to recover their funds. Harold, some shocking news out this week.
You better believe it, Randy. Again, what's happening in the banking system is frightening. And we both felt, as do many others, that what happened in Cyprus was just a test to see how people were going to react when their money was stolen. I know it's very hard to believe that this could possibly happen, but I'm sure the people in Cyprus, if you got to speak to them, would say exactly the same thing. And once it happens, you're in a state of shock. And then it's like fighting the government. Where do you go from there? You know, do you hire lawyers? Do you go, we're just small people in the midst of a gigantic situation. So, again, it's frightening to think that this could happen. However, if we just sit back and let it happen and don't do anything about it, then shame on us. There are things that you can do. There are investments that you can make that can take excess money out of the banking system. And don't forget, as long as the insurance holds out, and I do believe it will, because the fact is the day that the insurance companies that insure your bank accounts, the first time that they don't pay on something like that is the day that everybody takes all their money out of the bank. So the fact is that if in Canada the insurance on an individual bank account is $125,000, make sure that you don't keep any more than $125,000 in that bank. Again, if you have to go to 4 to 5 to 10 different banks to accomplish this, then you do that type of thing. But if you're under the belief that your money is safe in the bank, again, please read the reports on Cyprus and understand that our money is not safe, and anything over the insurance limit, we could definitely lose. And that happened to me once in business about 20 years ago. A bank in Florida was going under, and boy, did we ever have to fight to get back our money. It was a frightening situation. So, again, these situations are happening because the world is bankrupt. The whole world, basically, all the banks, all the governments, they're all bankrupt. They're printing money and they're creating debt, and it's just not working. And the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that they're printing, there's not enough money to cover all of this. And then what happens when the interest rates go up and this money has got to be paid back at higher interest rates? That's when the real situation and the really frightening situations are going to happen. So, again, the outlook for the next few years is not very good. As smaller investors, we want to be smart. You don't want to be in the scenario that, I'm doing the same as everybody else, and if it doesn't work, misery loves company. I'm in the same boat as everybody else. There's an old saying that 90% of the money is made by 10% of the people. There's nothing wrong with being in that 10%. There's nothing wrong with being smart and proactive and saying, if the risk that this could possibly happen is real, how do I take away that risk? Give us a call. Let us go over what the scenarios are. Tell us what your financial situations are and see if we can possibly help you. Because, again, I've been in the financial investment business for 35 years. I've seen almost everything. But what's happening at this point here is almost unprecedented. And again, it's a time that we really need to sit back and be conservative, not take speculative risks. And again, it's not always about making money. It's more about preservation of capital than it is appreciation of capital. And when the risk in the markets are as severe as they are right now, preservation of capital is a very smart thing.
Get our free weekly newsletter. It's imperative that you listen to our radio show. Get our free weekly newsletter. It's something you can go through in 5 minutes, be completely informed. You can spend hours if you want. Connect with Worldwide Precious Metals, wwpmc.com. Call them 1-866-623-2002. Start your own precious metals investment account today. And do not forget, if you live in Toronto, they have a private information session that they'll be having with you if you book through them, wwpmc.com, 1-866-623-2002. They also have that very important, and it's coming up on October 22nd, free seminar about the shocking truth of the Canadian banking system. Connect with them, wwpmc.com, 1-866-623-2002. One of the people that has really come to the fore in the precious metals world is Grant Williams, and he's being interviewed by King World News on a regular basis. He's a fund manager out of Singapore, and he said this week that the GLD, which is the ETF for gold, tells customers you can't have the gold. Today, one of the most highly respected fund managers in Singapore shocked King World News when he said that custodians of the ETF GLD have refused to give people physical gold in exchange for shares. Grant Williams, who is portfolio manager of a precious metals fund, also warned that the massive and escalating paper claims on physical gold at the COMEX at the warehouse are going to create an explosion in the price of gold. According to him, there are 55 claims for every ounce of physical gold that exists. That's why it's important to deal with a company like Worldwide Precious Metals, because obviously the gold is allocated either wholesale or premium. It is your physical precious metals. Now, when it comes to the GLD, we've talked about paper promises for many, many years, and we're starting to see, Harold, and we have about a minute here left, a minute and a half left, 55 to 1 for every physical ounce that exists. At some point, as we've seen, Germany asks for its gold. They say it's going to take 7 years. People waiting a long time for physical delivery to take possession of precious metals. Eventually, this thing is going to bust open, and we're going to see much higher prices in physical gold and silver.
That's probably the biggest factor. You know, you can talk about inflation and wars and high oil prices and everything like that, but supply and demand has always been economics 101. When the demand is high and supplies are low, the prices always go up, except over these last 2 years. So, you know, I read Eric Sprott's article, and I agree with him 100%. The fact is that there's very little physical gold and silver. There's major problems with these ETFs and everybody that's supposed to have the gold and they don't. I mean, that's out-and-out theft. What these banks have done is they've taken these physical gold and they've leased it out several times to other countries. I mean, what they've done is totally illegal. I mean, obviously, you know, if Germany is going to sit back and wait 7 years for this gold, I would be screaming bloody murder. I mean, that's unbelievable. Anybody would do that. You've stolen our gold and people are just going to sit back and take that. There's too many things going on at this point, Randy, that are so suspicious. And again, desperate times bring desperate measures, and that's exactly what's happening right now. We've got to be smart about this and make certain that we don't get caught up in this, because again, we can come out of this doing extremely well if we're smart about it.
Connect with Worldwide Precious Metals, wwpmc.com. Call them 1-866-623-2002, 1-866-623-2002, wwpmc.com. There's a whole host of great information on the diamond market this week that came out. We'll talk about it as the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on September 13th, 2013. Our time is 9:08. We're on your favorite radio stations. We're also archived, the radio show, on Herald's websites, HESradio.com or rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in World Financial Report on radio. We can be on any portable device that you have. Harold does daily market commentary on his websites. You can find it on the podcast site as well. Don't forget, Worldwide Precious Metals, they're going to be in Toronto. They have a free exclusive seminar about the shocking truth of the Canadian banking system, Tuesday, October 22nd, 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. Register for this eye-opening financial seminar. Call 1-866-623-2002 or sign up online at wwpmc.com. A CGA has spent a lot of time and taken a look at the books of not only Canadian banks, but countries as well. And you can also book a free private information session on investing in gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Connect with Worldwide Precious Metals, 1-866-623-2002, wwpmc.com. You can get our free weekly newsletter from them, or Worldwide Precious Metals. We'll be happy to send it out to you via email every week. RareColoredDiamonds.com is Harold's website. RareColoredDiamonds.com is Harold's website. His auction site is hsfineauctions.com. The next auction is coming up October 21st, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain. You can speak personally and privately with Harold about diamonds at 1-800-432-1022. Our featured diamond this week is a 5.25 radiant cut, fancy yellow, internally flawless. It is absolutely stunning. You can see the video on the website. You can go to rarecoloreddiamonds.com. You can see it in our newsletter. You can get our newsletter from Harold as well. And in our newsletter this week, we have a picture of Harold's wife, Harriet, wearing Liz Taylor's diamond earrings and necklace, and a picture of her. She is really a woman of many talents, catching a 15-pound rainbow trout. And as we were joking off air, Harold, the old saying is, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Give a lady a Liz Taylor necklace, and, well, she'll fish and eat for a lifetime.
How true is that?
You can see the pictures in our newsletter.
It is great, and, I love my wife very much. And I really have deducted that when you put a diamond necklace around a woman's neck, all of a sudden she smiles.
Very true.
And you saw that with Deidre Bolton on Bloomberg also,
yes,
when she wore Elizabeth Taylor's other necklace, her 95 carat, and her 22 carat earrings, and we sold that right after the show. This particular necklace was designed by Elizabeth Taylor. It's all yellow and white diamonds. And what's really amazing is that I have, not only do I own her last 8 pieces that have never gone to auction, but this particular piece that my wife is wearing, I have the original piece of paper, the provenance as they call it, where Elizabeth Taylor has designed that necklace and earrings. And it had her personal notes about it and her signature. And my friend at Christie's auction house, when he found out that I had it, he was dying to sell it. Obviously, I wouldn't. I've got my own auction business. He informed me that the letter alone, signed by Elizabeth Taylor, is worth $250,000. So, the fact is that what's happening in the diamond business and in the jewel business around the world right now is almost unprecedented. It's an unbelievable time to be in hard assets because of what's happening around the world type of thing. So, again, to put that particular diamond necklace Elizabeth Taylor's around my wife's neck was a real treat, and any woman would love to have that. I also own her last brooches with the same provenance, a signed piece of paper from Elizabeth Taylor and her sketching those pieces. I've been married now for 31 years. Just so you know, my wife Harriet and I only knew each other 2 weeks before we got married. When I met her and introduced myself as Harold Siegel, she laughed at me, which I took personal offense to. And I said, what was so funny? And she said, well, that's my father's name. And 2 weeks later, we were married, and we've had an amazing relationship and marriage for 31 years with 2 wonderful sons and 3 beautiful grandchildren. So, again, very nice to be able to feature my wife in the newsletter, and an amazing fisherman. Every time my son and I go fishing, she outfishes all of us. So she's a remarkable woman. Anyways, the diamond business is just on fire right now. And again, the reasons for it is the fear in the banking system. The fact is that diamonds are portable private wealth. Certain diamonds never lose their value. So when we talk about about keeping your money, preservation of your capital, certain diamonds are an amazing example of that. Yellow flawless diamonds, as an example, there's very few of them available, maybe 100 for the year type of thing. Yellow flawless diamonds increase by about 15% a year. The fancy lights, the fancy yellows, the fancy intense, and the fancy vivids. Because there's so few of them, they've never declined in value in all the years that we've been in business, and a lot longer than that. So, when you talk about capital preservation, there are certain diamonds that will definitely do that for you, keep their value. But then on the other hand, no matter what the economy does, these diamonds still go up in value because of supply and demand. And the demand for these diamonds are getting substantial all over the world as more and more people realize that keeping your money in the bank is just not doing it for you. You put $20,000 into your bank account and you're going to get 1 or 2% return. You put $20,000 into a yellow flawless diamond, you're going to get 15% return a year, and in 10 years that $20,000 is going to be worth $80,000. That's not going to happen by keeping your money in the bank, and it's not going to happen by keeping your money in the stock market. As far as pink diamonds go, they offer amongst the biggest profit potential of almost any other asset out there. Argyle pink diamonds increase by 15 to 50% a year. Vivid pink diamonds are going up substantially, so are the intense and the fancy pinks. And again, we've got the Argyle tender starting soon, so these Argyle pink diamonds are all over the news, and it's the biggest time of the year for the diamond market because of what happens with Argyle. They take their top 55 to 60 diamonds on tour to 5 or 6 different cities around the world. They show these amazing pink diamonds, which again are the most amazing diamonds you could ever imagine, and they're the portable private wealth. And the mine that produces them, the Argyle mine that produces 95% of them, is about to close. It's going to close in the next 5 to 6 years, and there won't be any more pink diamonds. The price of these diamonds can go up 5 to 10 times what the prices are today. So again, you look at keeping your money in the risky bank, you look at your money in the risky stock market, but putting a pink diamond away for the next 10 years could give you a gigantic return. I bought a 2-carat vivid pink Argyle at the tender in 2003 for $350,000. That same diamond today is worth $4 million. You tell me any other investment that has gone up that much with the safety that you have in the diamond market. Again, also to take one of these magnificent pink diamonds and put it on your wife's finger gives her tremendous pleasure and enjoyment, and then give it back to us. And we're the only company that can resell your diamonds for you, as we own a company called H. Siegel Fine Auctions, the only live real-time auction site in the world that resells our clients' diamonds. And we sell these diamonds all over the world. The other diamonds that you should be looking at that increase and hold their value tremendously are D-flawless white diamonds. They're perfect diamonds, the ones that we cut, and they go up by at least 15% a year, but they're also negative correlated to the stock market, meaning in 2008 when the Dow dropped by 50%, these diamonds went up 50%. So again, if you read the newsletter this week, and you read of all the problems that are out there, and the problems are right in front of us. All you have to do is read the daily newspaper, go online and read Yahoo News or whatever, and everything is there right in front of us. It's just, what does it mean? How do you decipher it? And what do you do when you understand what the potential risk is? And one thing about being in the financial business as long as I have, you learn to manage risk, and you learn to identify risk and find out when the risk is way too high for the reward. And in those type of cases, I tend to shy away from an investment if the risk is too high. Right now, with what I'm seeing in the world economy, the risk is everywhere. The risk is keeping your money in the bank. The risk is putting your money in the stock market. The risk is buying a home. The risk is almost anything today, because, again, none of the financial markets make any sense. Everybody that understands commodities would be flabbergasted to try to figure out why gold and silver would not be running when there's a physical shortage of that market. It's the same thing that's happening in diamonds. There's physical shortages in certain diamonds, and that's why the prices are going up. The difference between gold and silver and diamonds at this point here is that gold and silver, as other commodities and stocks, trade on exchanges. So you have buyers and sellers that determine the price of that commodity or stock on a daily and a daily basis. with diamonds, they don't trade on exchanges. You don't get those type of buyers and sellers, and because there's so few of them, you don't get those fluctuations in your investment. If you could get 15 or 20 or 25% return on your money, let's face it, that's a tremendous return. Well, that is available in certain diamonds. Not all diamonds are investment quality. We sell the diamonds that our clients can do well with. Again, if you're going to invest in yellow diamonds, they either have to be yellow flawless, internally flawless diamonds in order to increase by 15%, or own a diamond that's 2 carats, 3 carats, 5 or 10 carats, and those diamonds can go up tremendously. My wife has a 14-carat flawless yellow, and that diamond doubled in 2 years. So, the fact is that there are certain assets that could do extremely well for you and get you out of the financial pressure that a lot of people are under right now. A lot of people have sleepless nights worrying, are we going to wake up in the morning and find a destroyed stock market again, or find out that our bank is closed? Be smart about this. Make certain that you do the right thing. Never have more than $125,000 sitting in an individual bank account, because that's all the insurance that the insurance company will cover. Don't have all your money in paper assets. Paper assets, when you read the newsletter this week, you'll be reminded of what happened in 2008 because all the headlines are there. And when it comes back to you, you're going to realize how frightened we all were back at that time when the markets were just absolutely plummeting. So, again, there are things that we can do to get through these difficult times. 90% of the money is made by 10% of the people. Randy and I want to make certain that the listeners to our radio show for the last 13 years are in that 10%. And we believe we have a strong handle on what's happening in the world financial markets. And again, we have solutions if you just want to listen. So give us a call, get the new newsletter, read about what happened again in 2008. And enjoy the newsletter. Again, you're going to see Elizabeth Taylor's magnificent diamond necklace and earrings, and you're going to see my wife's beautiful 15-pound rainbow trout. My son and I were just absolutely hysterical laughing because she always does this to us, Randy. It's an unbelievable thing that such a beautiful woman is such a great fisherman.
Well, one thing to keep an eye on, too, is that $1 trillion in U.S. bank deposits held abroad will no longer be insured. And I think if that's the case, Harold, you can see more than likely big money come out of those banks and move into hard assets.
Well, you can definitely see that the handwriting is on the wall. If that's what they're doing, and they've done other things similar. Don't forget, at the beginning of the year, there was a situation where back in 2008, when the banks were in huge trouble, certain corporations could have kept larger amounts than the $250,000 in the bank, but it wouldn't be insured. Or they could accept no interest and keep an unlimited amount in the bank. And that's what certain corporations did. I mean, what's the difference, 1 or 2% interest on your money? So they were able to keep, maybe tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, and they had no worries, again, that it wasn't going to be covered. At the beginning of this year, the banks did away with that. So all of a sudden, these companies had to scramble and find a new place to put their money. I know, to operate my diamond business, at times I have, 7, 8 figures in the bank. I've got to put them into treasury bills every single night. I would never, ever leave that money, even for a second, at risk. Because again, I wouldn't be able to sleep, and I'd wake up in the morning wondering, if my money is still there. So these are very difficult and trying times. They're not impossible times. So we could get through this if we're smart about what we do. Please give us a call. Be more than happy to sit down with each and every one of you over the phone and discuss your individual personal situation and see if there's any way that I can help you.
RareColoredDiamonds.com, the telephone number 1-800-432-1022. Harold's auction website, and he will be back on Bloomberg prior to that auction, hsfineauctions.com. You can go there, take a look at past auctions that we've had and the different items auctioned off. October 21st, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain Time. And we do have a featured diamond this week. It's a 5.25 radiant cut, fancy yellow, internally flawless, absolutely stunning. The reason you want to get the newsletter this week is all the different stories we have about diamonds. A 118.28 carat white diamond is estimated to sell for more than $28 million at auction in Hong Kong next month. The price, if achieved, would be a record for any colorless gem at a public sale. The oval D Color Flawless Type 2A stone, the largest of its type to appear at auction, will be sold by Sotheby's October the 7th as part of their 40th anniversary events in Asia. Only 4 other white diamonds of this quality weighing more than 100 carats have appeared at public sales, and the world's biggest round, fancy, vivid blue, called the Premier Blue, and weighing 7.59 carats, carries a minimum valuation of $19 million at the same auction. Obviously, gemstones, status symbols, hedges against volatility in financial markets, and their prices are rising. Colored diamonds account for 0.01% of mined diamonds, command the highest per carat, as we know. Also, as Harold touched on, painting Hong Kong red with diamonds. The Argyle Pink Tender was at a 5-star Hong Kong hotel during the week, and they talk about it in a Wall Street Journal story. We have that. The Argyle mine saying they're set to meet Chinese demand for colored diamonds and white diamonds in general. We have an article, Rare Pink, Blue, Yellow Diamonds highlight Christie's auction. An 8.77 carat fancy intense pink diamond, a 3.81 carat fancy vivid blue, and a 5.13 carat fancy vivid yellow will highlight the October 15th Christie's Magnificence Jewel Sale in New York City. And then there was 2 stories that came out about a special report. And it really gets you thinking. Diamond inflation predicted at 60% by 2020, and rough diamond prices to skyrocket in 2018. A steady demand in the United States, paired with an ever-growing appetite for these precious stones in China and India, are some of the main factors expected to cause a major gap in global supply and demand, sending rough diamond prices through the ceiling in 2018. And this is according to the it's according to a global diamond industry report. And Harold, we've spoken about this before. Rough diamonds, another area to look at in the future. And one final thing I want to mention, Bloomberg came out with Diamonds, Somebody's Best Friend, and they show some of the greatest diamonds. We have it in the newsletter that have ever been auctioned off. But this story on rough diamonds, prices to skyrocket in 2020, inflation about 60% by 2020. It's very exciting for those in the diamond business.
You better believe it. Again, those that are holding diamonds for the next 5 to 10 years, I believe are going to make fortunes. A lot of people buy them just to offset, other investments type of thing, and for safety and for protection against currency devaluation and all that. But there's nothing wrong with seeing a diamond go up, substantially. I brought up what happened with my 2-carat Vivid. I've mentioned this on the radio show before, but my wife's girlfriend inherited a pink diamond from her grandmother. Her grandmother paid $50,000 for the diamond. Now the diamond's worth almost $3.5 million. So, these assets are for real. I mean, when you look at what's happening at Christie's and Sotheby's auctions right now, and $20 million and $35 million diamonds being sold, those are not being sold to the industry. Those are being sold to individual investors. If they feel confident to put $35 million into an asset, that's not chump change. They're putting their serious money into it. And again, I've been in this business a long time. Again, what we created was the diamond market, investment diamond market for the smaller investor. Sure, I have diamonds like Elizabeth Taylor's pieces that are, in the multi-millions of dollars, but most of my clients are just smaller, hard-working families that just want to be in the right investment. They want to diversify, and they want to make sure that they have some protection and some income. And again, our diamonds, you could buy a 1-carat yellow flawless diamond. You could have bought it in 1980 for $500 today. If you can get one, they're $20,000. And in 10 years from now, they're going to be, substantially higher than that. You could easily make 300-400% return on a diamond just by holding it for 10 years, and there's no other asset available that will give you that type of return with the safety that you have in the diamond market. And again, not only do we carry these type of diamonds for our clients, we also have the secondary market to resell your diamond for you. So that's equally as important. One thing is to be able to make money. It's another thing to be able to resell it, and that's what we bring to the table.
hsfineauctions.com. That is Harold's auction website. Next auction, October 21st. Go there right now and sign up. 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain. Connect with Harold at rarecolorediamonds.com. Get the newsletter this week because the info that came out during the week about diamonds was just outstanding. And we're getting into auction season, and we will keep you up to date on the auction and the prices that are in the weeks and months ahead. Connect with Harold personally and privately on the phone if you would prefer to speak to him. 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. rarecolorediamonds.com is the website. And don't forget, Harold recommends one company when it comes to investing in precious metals, a Canadian company. They've been a leading Canadian precious metals bullion dealer for over 10 years, Worldwide Precious Metals. They're the experts to trust and work with in this very specialized market. The website, wwpmc.com. Their telephone number, 1-866-623-2002. Start your own precious metals investment account today. All gold is allocated either wholesale or premium. They're there to help you maximize profit, minimize risk. You will have instant liquidity in and out of the market with just a phone call. 24/7 online access. The metal can be stored on your behalf, insured to the full value of your investment. Ask about domestic or foreign storage and premium storage in specific coin and bar form. Stored metal is outside the banking system. The metal can also be delivered to your door, and Worldwide Precious Metals have access worldwide to give you that precious metal that you're looking for today. And do not forget, bank depositors, they lost 47.5% of their money in Cyprus. Could a bailing happen in Canada? People say no. Worldwide Precious Metals, they're inviting everyone in Toronto and area to an exclusive free seminar about the shocking truth of the Canadian banking system, Tuesday, October 22nd, 6 p.m. Eastern at the Hilton Garden Inn. Register for this eye-opening financial seminar by calling 1-866-623-2002. You can sign up online, and when they are in Toronto, October 21st through the 23rd, they will be offering free private information sessions on investing in gold and silver. Connect with them, wwpmc.com, 1-866-623-2002. And Harold, we should mention with hsfineauctions.com, when we have this auction coming up, people who do register, they do not have to bid. You can sit back and watch and get comfortable with the process. It's not a situation where you have to go in and start bidding immediately. Sit back, take a look at things, get a feel for things. When you feel comfortable and confident, then at that point you can feel free to make a bid on one of the many different items that we'll have.
Better believe it. Again, this is it's a lot of fun. It's the only company of its kind that you can actually participate in the auction from the comfort of your own home or office or wherever you are. And there's absolutely no pressure. At times we'll have 400 or 500 people on the auction site, but there may be, 20 or 30 people bidding. So it's really exciting. It's a lot of fun. We invite everybody to watch it, and I do caution you, though, it's addicting. A lot of people say that they really get into it, and the prices are great, and the pieces are amazing. At our last auction in June, we had 20 pieces up for sale, 17 Argyle pinks, 2 Cartier signed diamond rings, and an orange diamond ring, and every single piece, 20 diamonds sold within 1 hour. That's unprecedented. It doesn't happen in the diamond business, believe me. What we have is something spectacular. We built it for our clients to have fun and make money, and again, we're looking forward to the auction coming up on the 21st. Also, with us doing the Bloomberg show on the 18th, we could pick up thousands and thousands of new clients that will attend our auction, which makes it even better. So, again, we're very excited. We got big plans for it to take it to Europe, where we can get different currencies and things like that for our clients. You definitely want to participate. It's one of the most fun things you'll ever do.
Before the end of the show, with about 2 minutes left, a couple of things I wanted to get to. Last week, the jobs numbers were horrible in the United States, quite good in Canada. And part of the problem in the United States, lots of part-time jobs because of Obamacare, lots of people being put on part-time because of Obamacare, lots of poorly paying jobs. These are the jobs that are being created. And it's something to keep in mind when you hear about jobs out of the United States. And the participation rate, people have just given up, and that is at a 30-year high, the lack of participation in the job market. I was speaking to somebody who spent a month and a half in Greece, and she's a hardworking Canadian who originally came from Greece, and she says they're lazy there, they don't want to work. Now, remember, this is what she's saying. They don't want to work, they don't want to pay taxes, but they want to be given everything. And
they want to take 2 months vacation.
That's right. She said, they don't like to hear what I have to say. Greek unemployment rate, and this is youth unemployment, around 60%. And the full rate is 28%. So you can see that it's a mess in Greece, it's a mess in Europe. Don't be fooled by the fact that we're hearing a lot of cheerleading about how things are around the world. The financial crisis 5 years ago, you can read about it in our newsletter. And really, everything has changed, but nothing has changed. It's all remained the same. That's the scary part. Protect yourself. Harold, 20 seconds left here.
You bet. Again, it is a frightening situation. I'm concerned about Europe for a lost generation. And the thing is that they should look at Canadians. We're the hardest working people. We have work ethic. We don't take 2 months vacations when things are difficult. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But again, good to be Canadian, good to be working. So I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
Thank you, Harold. RareColoredDiamonds.com. Connect with Harold, 1-800-432-1022. Worldwide Precious Metals, WWPMC.com, 1-866-623-2002. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.